Welcome to Films and Stuff with your hosts, Pete Mitchell and Ethan Hunt.
Okay, Pete, we are back. Special Friday pre-weekend episode of Films and Stuff. How are you today?
I am great, Ethan. How are you?
Everything is great with me as well. And I have just finished watching episode 7 in season 3 of The Boys, and I know that you just saw it as well.
I did.
And where are we in this universe?
Honestly,
it's hard to know who to like or who not to like.
It's hard
right?
to know who to like, and it's really interesting because the show keeps throwing curveballs.
Who are the good guys?
Which I really, really like. I like that I'm being kept on my feet. I like that even though when you and I sit down every Saturday and think about what we think is going to happen, and generally speaking, I would say the ideas that you and I come up with are reasonably good, right? And they may not be accurate, which is fine, but the ideas themselves are pretty good. And consistently, I have been thrown for a loop, again, a good thing, in every episode that we've watched. Like, I did not see this coming whatsoever.
Can I tell you my favorite thing about this show is that there are a lot of characters and we've gotten to know them all reasonably well. Right. We know Butcher, we know Huey, we know Starlight, Annie January, we know Homelander, we know A-Train, we know the Jeep,
Kimiko.
Yes. Mother's Milk, Black Noir, Ashley, right? Victoria Newman. We haven't seen Grace Malloy in a long time, right? Like, that's a lot of people. Now, we've also got Soldier Boy, right?
Oh, yeah.
And every episode, in addition to Soldier Boy, we also kind of meet another small, little Nina.
Yeah.
Little Nina, right? Now we were introduced to Mindstorm, right?
Yeah.
So I have to say, what I like is that there's a lot of characters, and they're all, like, we all got to know them, and for the most part, we don't get overexposed to any of them, and we always want, like, a little bit more, yeah? Like, even Homelander, who's kind of the main character, there's not so many scenes with Homelander in this show, right?
Yeah, it's really transitioned that way. I think he's kind of like taken the back seat. He's definitely the main antagonist. Yeah. But he's taken the back seat to Butcher and Soldier Boy, at least in this season so far.
Yeah. Soldier Boy is... So should we start at the beginning of this episode, or do you want to start at the end and work our way back?
Either or, actually, because they're equally exciting.
There's a big spoiler alert, and we'll get it out now. And that puts everything into perspective, right? And the perspective is that essentially Butcher and Huey, with the temporary Compound V, have decided that they're going to team up with Soldier Boy and support all his revenge, just so that Soldier Boy supports them to kill Homelander, right? That's exactly the primary plot that we have right now. And this is now blown to smithereens by the revelation of... You want to break it?
So it appears that Soldier Boy is actually Homelander's father, or at least the sperm donor.
Yep. So that probably changes, or does it? That probably changes whether or not Soldier Boy is still going to support or follow Butcher's lead and want to kill Homelander, if he even could.
That's the thing is, I don't know if it does, at least in principle. It shouldn't, right? Because, Soldier Boy goes out of his way to say what father wouldn't want to support his son being the leader, right? Yeah. So he would have gladly stepped away. But I think that what's going to happen is that it's going to be Homelander who can't control the fact that his father is Soldier Boy. And I think it's then going to be a Homelander wants to kill Soldier Boy, not because Soldier Boy is working with Billy, but I think because Homelander just wants to be the only one on top of that mountain.
So look, actually, this could go a lot of different ways. And
yeah, absolutely.
And knowing how insecure Homelander is, And remember, Homelander actually wanted to be a dad to his son.
That's right.
It's kind of tragic, you know, like he pushed his son off like the roof of a house and like he was kind of making fun of him. But, you know, he really yearns for probably a father figure, you know?
Or some kind of emotional connection with someone.
If Soldier Boy weren't so Homelander-like, if he was a little bit more nurturing, you could probably see Homelander would absolutely fall in line. It would be father and son, and they would rule the world, and they'd be kind of assholes about it, but they could really be a power couple, kind of, so to speak, right?
Absolutely.
The fact that Soldier Boy is just such a nasty person probably means he's never going to give Homelander any amount of love, attention, respect, all those other kind of like, you know, mushy stuffs. Homelander's never really going to like probably have that sense of like loyalty and love and respect for him. So I do kind of see it playing out that they're going to be enemies rather than, you know, like a father-son leadership team.
Yeah, I think, you know, ultimately, I think Maeve called him out on it, right? Because he says that he's keeping her alive because he wants to extract her eggs. Yeah. And I think that, you know, she points it out. She says that you're scared. And that's the best thing about it, about this day, is that this is a top 3 day for me because I get to see you scared. And then you get to see a little bit more of that because he gets outwitted by Starlight, who goes back to the tower after exposing Vought Corporation. And she goes back at Kimiko's request to pick up permanent Compound V for her because Kimiko decides she doesn't want to be powerless anymore. And you know, it's a very touching moment with Frenchie. She says, I don't want to be powerless because I want to be able to protect the people that I love. Clearly talking about Frenchie.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was very sweet, but then, you know, so she catches Homelander out because he basically admits on the phone to killing her ex-boyfriend.
Yeah.
She has been recording him and putting him live on, you know, Instagram or Twitter.
One question though, was she really doing that or did she just say that to kind of get out of that situation?
That's a good question. I think she was really doing it. At first I thought it was just a fake recording. But then when you see the screen, you see all the little hearts, you saw everything. I thought that it was a real deal.
I couldn't really tell, but I wasn't sure whether that was like quick thinking and that's how she like extracted herself from that conversation where it seemed like he could like threaten her, or if she was really like clever enough to do it. Either way, like she's not going back, right? She said, look, I'm not scared of you. Whatever you do, and see where that plays out.
Absolutely. No, I mean, so she's got it on tape now that he's threatened to kill her. He's threatened to kill Huey. He's threatened to, and he's admitted to killing other people. So it's not a good look for him. And like, he's basically going to be facing a firestorm for that. Right. Yeah. And we saw that towards the end of the episode. You know who else I think is going down because she also is being portrayed as like a real jerkwad? Ashley.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I really enjoy Ashley, I have to say, because she's also so evil, but she's more unlike Homelander. She seems to be like evil only to survive, you know, but the way she treated A-Train, I thought was just classic, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I thought she's like the inverse of Huey, right? Which is to say they were both bullied. They're both powerless. They're both kind of effectively useless. And it was because, you know, she's able to become CEO that she's got this power and she's embraced it. Exactly.
Yeah, but I thought the way that she treated A-Train in the hospital was like really, really classic. Yeah. So A-Train is back. He didn't die. He is back.
Oh, yeah. That's the other crazy twist. So he's alive, but he's got the, you know, that guy who broke his brother's back. He's got his heart.
Yep.
That's going to be an interesting thing. I think that's finally going to be what breaks him. I think what's going to happen is that he's going to turn his allegiance and become not a good guy, but at least allied with the good guys.
We'll see.
Oh, and your favorite, the Deep. What a dummy.
I love the Deep. Although he had a very, very minor role in this episode, right? I mean, honestly, it didn't advance at all. I mean, nothing.
Well, he's on his own now, right? His girlfriend / wife.
I guess his girlfriend is out. And maybe that's for the best. I think that probably is storyline probably like ran its course. And let's see, like, if he aligns with Homelander, if he aligns with A-Train. But, I mean, he just doesn't have a very prominent storyline anymore. I mean, he's a very, very good comedic foil, but he doesn't have any loyalties or allegiance or really, like, any direction, I think, now in this series.
He's neither here nor there. And frankly speaking, I think for me, and I think you've seen this in other shows, if you're neither here nor there, I don't have time for you.
Yeah. I feel like he's always going to be in an episode in 1 or 2 scenes and do 1 or 2 kind of hapless things, but he's just not going to be any action sequences, and he's not really going to join a side, you know? But unlike him, we saw a lot from Black Noir, right? Now we see...
Black Noir was interesting.
Yeah, I think this is probably the most... and it was very clever the way that they did it, right? But I think now we saw a lot of the background in terms of why, everyone kind of banded together against Soldier Boy, right?
Yeah, in that weird animated Disney / Hanna-Barbera style cartoon skit.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued to see, like I said, I still think there's a lot more to the story to be told. Mm-hmm. I know that I saw the episode where he was in Nicaragua where he loses his face or gets his face damaged by the acid. Yeah. And I think that's why he doesn't take off the mask. But I think there's something more to this. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely more to Black Noir's story. He's definitely maybe the most important of the revenge victims that Soldier Boy is going towards.
I mean, we actually haven't seen his face, so we don't know who he is.
We saw his face in from
Nicaragua.
30 years ago in Nicaragua, and that's it.
But we don't actually know if it's the same person, in theory,
I thought
right?
he was going to be... Oh, that's interesting. I haven't thought about that. I don't know why they would bother showing someone different. I thought it was going to turn out that he was actually Giancarlo's son.
Oh, that's interesting. That's interesting. I was thinking, we haven't seen, remember that CIA agent's name, the lady, her name is Mallory, right? Mallory, right? Yeah. And she was kind of like leading that thing. I was kind of thinking that they're going to show something where after that, like, attack, she went up to him and she basically, like, finishes him off, right? Because he's in pretty bad shape. We saw, like, his face all bashed in.
Oh, my God. And he's a plant in the 7.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's brilliant. That's even better than what I thought.
Because we haven't seen her in a lot of episodes, and she was so kind of powerful, something...
That's really good.
I just feel like
just hand it to you. That is excellent.
But anyway, as we both know, Black Noir is somehow very, very important, right? He was just a silent guy for so many episodes. We kind of like threw him away and discarded him and disregarded him. He's really critical to this whole thing. But I think you're right. He could actually be Giancarlo's son. That's very, very good.
That's good, but I like yours way better. I think what if Black Noir isn't the guy we thought we saw in Nicaragua?
Yeah.
What if it's a plant, and whoever it is, what if it's someone that Mallory has planted into a Vought Corporation to be like her spy on the inside?
Yeah.
That even Billy the Butcher doesn't know about.
Yeah. I don't know, but something's happening there, because I thought that was an excellent, excellent episode. And the way that they showed that background, I thought was really brilliant. It was kind of weird. Like you said, it was Hanna-Barbera.
They're teasing him for something, but I don't know what. That's the thing, is that they haven't really defined what it is yet.
Yeah. But when push comes to shove, is he going to support Homelander against Soldier Boy? That seems like where he's positioned, right? It seems like he's got real animosity towards Soldier Boy as a bully.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially, I mean, they showed that backstory in the cartoons where he's basically, he wanted to be Eddie Murphy in Beverly Hills Cop.
In Beverly Hills Cop, yeah. Axel Foley. Axel. What was his name?
Axel Foley.
Axel Foley, yeah.
And now for a word from our friends at the Speakeasy Noircast.
Tucked into a smoky back alley, into a secluded room of an illicit speakeasy, filled with gambling, liquor, and podcasts. Come inside, sit down for a drink, and join us while we discuss film noir of yesterday and neo-noirs of today with your hosts, Carly Street and Jason D. Morris. Welcome to the Speakeasy Noircast.
So, I mean, if we're counting the superheroes, right? Maeve is definitely against Homelander, but we're not sure if she's with Soulja Boy. The Deep is probably with whoever is going to win.
Well,
probably
yeah,
Homelander,
exactly.
whoever wins. A-Train?
He's on the fence at the moment, right?
Yeah.
Because I think he doesn't like what the Vought Corporation is doing, and I think he's getting to see what they do.
Yeah.
I think before, because he was on the team, because he had his powers, he was able to do everything. He kind of got swept up into it. It's kind of like, it's kind of like where Steve... Oh, you haven't watched the show, so I can't even make that comment. It's fine. Forget about it.
All right. No spoilers for me. And now we see Queen Maeve kind of like locked up in some type of like purgatory chamber.
Yep.
And it's Homelander versus Starlight.
Starlight
clearly.
is against her. Exactly.
And now we're going to find out where Soulja Boy falls into this. And then we're going to see where Butcher and the temporary V fall into this.
Oh, yeah, because that's the other thing. Annie finds out that if you take anywhere from 3 to 5 doses, it's fatal.
Do you like this V storyline?
I could take it or leave it. I like the fact that it gives them the potential to stand up to Homelander. But this, it's fine. It's fine. I have to see where it goes. I don't have a comment one way or another.
Can I say, maybe I like the idea, but it seems like this, just kind of like this thing in a syringe, like vials and vials and vials of it sitting like on the counter of a laboratory. To be honest,
completely unlocked, able to be accessed by anybody.
Like I can understand like more like, like Wolverine, like there's a way, or even, like Captain America, like there's a way through this very, very painful, dramatic procedure that Vought Corporation can make superheroes. And maybe it has a very low success rate. And that's why there's a lot of kind of like, I don't want to say like disabled, but like, what would be a good word? Like morphed or, like half-baked, let's say, half-cooked superheroes, right? Like, and we've seen a lot of those. They don't all turn out like Homelander or Soulja Boy. There's people that have kind of like one superpower or kind of like a weird... We saw a guy with a very long tongue. We've seen some other long stuff. We've seen some other like Plastic Men or Gaslighter, all these other ones, right? So like, but very few actually hit to be like Soulja Boy or A-Train or like Homelander, right? Or even Maeve, right?
Very few A-tier superheroes, right?
Yes. So I can understand Vought has maybe this very risky procedure to kind of do this, but the temporary V, to be honest, seems like a really weird storyline. I mean, it just doesn't really make sense.
It made sense in the sense that in the first episode, the idea was that they were developing it for the military for use on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So that I thought was an interesting use of it. I thought that was, fine. And you would want it to be temporary because that's how you keep selling more and more vials, right?
Which and then 3 to 5 kills you. That's kind of like
3 to 5 kills you.
And we kind of think Huey and Butcher are at... Butcher seems to be right at 5. Huey, I think, is at 3? Huey is at 4?
Something like that.
Huey did.
Huey is borderline. I think Huey's borderline, and I think Butcher's at the edge. Like, more than at the edge, I think he's about to step off the edge.
Huey did one in Russia, he did one at Herogasm, and he did one this episode, right?
Yes.
I may be missing a fourth, but it's at least 3. And
yes.
And Butcher has at least one more than Huey, because Butcher also had the scene where he met the guy in the parking garage.
Yep.
And sliced him in half. So Butcher's at least 4. All right. So they're both kind of like...
Yeah, I think they're teetering. They're both teetering.
Yeah. But I have to say, I think Huey's very clear that Huey is really, even now, a good guy. You know, you saw when Butcher was down, he put like the duffel bag under his head. He went
to save him. Yeah.
He went to save him with Mindstorm. Butcher's just a terrible guy, almost worse than Homelander, right? Like, remember, Starlight called him and said, you can only take 3 to 5. Tell Huey, he will die, right? And he was like, hey, everything okay? What's up? And Butcher's like, we need more temporary V.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and when he speaks to him, he's like, no, we're going to take some more of this and we're going to take it out.
He's the worst of the worst. After he went through that whole terrible thing where he was trapped in his mind in his childhood,
and
after he saw
his brother.
What Huey does for him, he's still dead inside. Really, I think Butcher has to be the worst of the guys in this whole show. Maybe not the most maybe they're not the most dislikable, but definitely the worst.
Which is why I think by the end of this season, in the next 3 episodes, we see that that Butcher becomes the main bad guy. Yeah. I think at some point, if not in this season, definitely in the next, we see that, you know, maybe Homelander loses his powers.
Yeah.
And I think that Butcher becomes the guy who, you know, goes for it and really becomes the bad guy.
What do you think of Soldier Boy? Good guy, bad guy? A little bit of sympathy for him?
Not really. No. I think he's an ends to a means in terms of Homelander, and even that I think now becomes questionable. We don't know what he's going to do, but apparently he's his dad, so...
What about Kimiko Frenchie? What do you think of this storyline?
They're setting it up for tragedy, and I'm not liking it. I love them. I want them to, you know, walk off into the sunset into Marseille, but I don't see that happening.
So, Kimiko, remember, if we go back to the very beginning, Kimiko was found kind of like in a cage, right?
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right.
But she had powers back then. Somehow she couldn't escape the cage. So she had powers. They freed her. She's still not talking. She and Frenchie like developed this connection, and she had superpowers, but she never really wanted to use them, and she just wanted to kind of like get away from it all, right? Yeah. And then her powers were taken away, and then she's beat up once, and then she's like, nope, I need the powers back.
Yeah, I think it's more than that. I think it was like she was not just beat up a little bit, she was beaten very badly. She's lost her ability to regenerate, and I think she now understands that she needs these powers if she wants to protect the people that she loves.
I mean, there's a good life lesson in there, which is be careful what you wish for, or the grass isn't always greener, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, she said something right, which was, you know, the problem isn't the powers, the problem was me, you know? Like, okay, that's true, but I found that storyline was a little just...
maybe a little sappy, given the nature of the boys, but I like it. I thought it's a nice dose of escapism, and it's a nice dose of romanticism in a show that is highly satirical, highly, what's the word?
Yeah.
Brutal. Right? It's very pragmatist. I don't know. I just think that in a show that's relatively dark, they're a rare moment of lightness.
But then if she's going to take permanent V, I would like her and Frenchie, what they should do, I don't think they will, but then they should escape, right? She should say,
that's
okay,
what I would hope for.
Now it's you and me. I'm strong. We don't have to be afraid. Let's really leave now. But I imagine that's...
but that's what I'm saying is I don't think the show is gearing it up. I think they're gearing up the exact opposite.
Yeah, Frenchie's not going to leave.
I think that either Frenchie's not going to leave or Frenchie's going to get toasted.
Oh.
And then I think that's when you see Kimiko really lose her shit.
He has to get toasted, though, almost because of her.
Or, yeah, because, you know, she insisted on staying back to help and fight.
Yeah.
He gets toasted. She loses her mind. And then somehow Soldier Boy is able to destroy her.
Exactly,
and they both end up dead.
It has to be something where he says, hey, you're powerful again. Let's leave. And she says, nah, let's go do this one thing first. He's like, okay, just this one thing, right? He gets toasted.
Something like that.
And she's like, oh, that's all on me, you know?
Or it could even be something even worse. It could even just be like they're going and then little Nina goes after him. Because she's still alive.
Yeah.
So little Nina goes after him, takes him out in a way that was unexpected, and she goes apeshit. She goes after little Nina, and then she's got nothing left to live for. So she goes on like a suicide mission with Soldier Boy, and she loses it then. Who knows? In either case, I think the ultimate end result is that neither of them are going to make it, which is a shame. And this mother's milk thing with this stepfather kind of jackass, you know, who's like totally inundated, and you know, this show is not shy. They're very heavy-handed with what they're parodying and what they're satirizing. Yeah. Like, it's very clear they're talking about like QAnon. Yeah. They're very clearly talking about the deep state and things like that. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's what they're satirizing. So I don't know where that goes. It's the same problem. Mother's Milk, I love him, but his storyline is with the stepfather is going neither here nor there. Either he needs to finish that storyline or they need to just drop it and move on.
I mean, it could be that Mother's Milk is the hero of all of this. He's really the guy who's, as you said it, I think, on our last episode, he's really the guy who's always been consistently on the right side of every moral or ethical decision.
Yes.
And maybe he's the guy who ultimately has to destroy Butcher.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens.
What about Victoria Newman?
Yeah,
she trending up or down?
Down. I don't know where she is either. She's now become resigned to being his lackey, I guess. I don't know. Homelander's lackey. I don't know where they're going with her either. Yeah. I really thought that she had him over a barrel. I thought that it was going to be a case where she becomes the new puppet master for Homelander, but it turns out that's not the way they're going. And I'm having the same problem is, you know, you've only got 3 episodes left in this season. If you really want to do something with her, now is the time, and they're not doing anything with her.
I was almost, I mean, I didn't see this coming, but I wouldn't have shocked me if she would have like wanted to be a power couple with Homelander. It just says, hey, you know, we're both soups, like, you know, you and me, let's do it, you know? And she would have like, kind of like Ashley. Like Ashley absolutely would be like Homelander's girlfriend, wife. She'd do like anything, right? Like, she'd get off on the power of it. I kind of thought Victoria Newman would be the same way. You know, and she'd, like, come out and be like, hey, I am a congresswoman. I am the head of this agency, but I'm also a soup, and, you know, it's me and Homelander. You know, I kind of thought she'd be, like, embrace that level of evil for a while as well, but that didn't seem to be the case. And after she gave permanent V to her daughter, we haven't seen or heard of her daughter again.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that.
You know?
That's right.
And I was kind of thinking there would be something there between, because her daughter, maybe a little bit older than Homelander's son. Like there could have been like some something there, maybe, you know, but.
Or that could have just been a really clever setup for the next season or the seasons ahead.
Yeah. So then that means that Homelander's son has a grandfather. So anyways.
Yeah, it's so fresh in my mind, and it was such a shocking twist. I don't know what direction they're going in, because it was almost as if it were a throwaway line at the end of the episode, which it obviously wasn't, because it's what a wonderful cliffhanger. But because it was at the very end of the episode and we don't know how things are going to go, I think it's going to be the beginning of next week's episode that we really get an idea of how things are going to work.
I don't know if there's much more to say. What do you think?
Not on my side. Yeah. Again, I'm loving it. Again, like some of the other shows we're watching, I like that you and I can sit here every week and come up with different theories and then be totally wrong about those theories, no matter how plausible they are.
Yeah.
Because it's really good writing. I like that it keeps me guessing.
I think the same thing. I mean, we're obviously going to see, Homelander and Soldier Boy are going to come to a head. We always think Huey is going to be a good guy. Although if he flipped to be a bad guy, maybe it wouldn't be a total shock. Him and Starlight seem like they're eventually going to be okay. I agree. We're probably going to see something, tragic with Kimiko and Frenchie. I think Mother's Milk and Butcher come to a heads at some point, but there's a lot of other little storylines behind the scenes that I expect are going to flip-flop around a little bit. Black Noir is a big one to kind of follow. And Queen Maeve at some point is going to be, maybe Queen Maeve somehow, let's speculate. Is she the mom? No, she can't be the mom. Somehow Queen Maeve. Yeah. But Queen Maeve also could have a surprise role in this as well, right?
Yes.
Stay tuned until next week for the boys.
Agreed. Thanks very much, Ethan.
Thank you, Pete. Thank you, listeners. Aloha at
filmsandstuffpodcast.com.
We'll be here. Look forward to your comments and suggestions. Join us tomorrow. We've got 2 big episodes coming, Pete. 2 or 1. Anyway, episodes coming tomorrow, Saturday as well. Today was just a bonus Friday.
That's right.
Have a great day.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Films and Stuff. If you haven't already, please subscribe and review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever podcasts are downloaded. Films and Stuff. There is no substitute.